Welcome to the Healthcare Executive Podcast, providing you with insightful commentary and developments in the world of healthcare leadership. To learn more, visit ache.org. And without further ado, your host, Chris Caraggio.
Hey there, welcome to another Healthcare Executive Podcast from ACHE. Today's episode is brought to you by Kindred. During these unprecedented times of social distancing and visitor restrictions, hospitals are looking for innovative solutions to help patients stay connected with loved ones who can't visit face-to-face. Tools designed to help families connect virtually have proven to increase patient satisfaction and outcomes. To learn how Kindred can help your hospital leverage innovative solutions to increase patient and family engagement, streamline operations, and optimize rehab services during COVID-19 and beyond, visit kindredrehab.com. Well, our guest today is Roberta Schwartz. She is the Executive Vice President and Chief Innovation Officer for Houston Methodist and the CEO of Houston Methodist Hospital, which was named to the 2020 U.S. News and World Report Honor Roll for the fourth time and second consecutive year. This is also the ninth year in a row Houston Methodist Hospital has been named the #1 hospital in all of Texas. Now, in her role as Chief Innovation Officer, Roberta is responsible for advancing and expanding Houston Methodist's digital innovation platforms. She also helped drive the creation of the Center for Innovation and sits on the steering committee. We're going to talk a lot about that in just a minute. Prior to her time at Houston Methodist, Roberta was the Director of Business Development for Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York and a consultant and project manager to several academic medical centers. Roberta earned her master's in health science from Johns Hopkins University and an honors undergraduate degree from Barnard College at Columbia. She has a PhD from the University of Texas School of Public Health and is certified in healthcare management as a fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives. Roberta has volunteered extensively for many nonprofit organizations, including as co-chair for New York City's Race for the Cure. She's received many honors and awards for her work, including the National Jill Ireland Award for Volunteerism and Houston's Woman of the Move Award, among others. She's also inducted into the Greater Houston's Women Hall of Fame back in 2016 and received ACHE's Regents Award in 2019. Roberta, thank you so much for joining the Healthcare Executive Podcast.
It's a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you so much for having me.
Boy, you are such a busy person, especially here during COVID-19, so we're so happy you can take a few minutes out to discuss innovation and beyond.
You know, it's actually nice to look out into the future rather than sometimes the present. But it's also really important to talk about all the innovations that have furthered the delivery of healthcare and the way we practice healthcare because of COVID. So I think it's kind of an ideal time to actually be sitting down and talking.
Exactly. And we're going to try to cover all of that. First, let's sort of go back and to, you know, we heard, and actually in the current time, there in Texas, in the Houston area, COVID-19 hit hard. The whole country knows that. I know you were very, very busy a few months back with everything. Can you talk about Houston Methodists, the response to the pandemic and how it's going in your community and how your hospital dealt and is dealing with all of this?
So I think that we have a lot to be proud of, both at Houston Methodist, but also the Texas Medical Center and the Houston community. We've done 2 surges at this point, and that's kind of commonly across the region. The first one was in kind of that March, April timeframe, and the second one was in June and July. And all of the institutions, and I can speak to ours in particular, the first one was really about 200 patients hospitalized at any one time, a little over. The second one was a little over 700 patients hospitalized at any one time, 750. And we came down not as low as we were between surge 1 and 2, but we're on our way back up a little bit. My hope is that with diligent hand hygiene and masks and face shields and as well as social and continued physical distancing, we can continue that trend. Now, I will tell you that we've opened up in the state of Texas, so a little bit more, including in some counties, bars and other facilities. So schools are back in session. So we'll have to see kind of what happens from here forward. I do hope that people stay diligent for different points in time.
You know, I'm sitting in a studio in Phoenix, Arizona. It's exactly where we are in regard, as in Texas. So yeah, everyone's kind of waiting and hoping that it kind of continues on this upswing, but you never do know. All right, we talked about the Center of Innovation that you helped create, and you're steering the committee. Can you talk about? I know it came through a group that you kind of dubbed the Digital Innovation Obsessed People there at the hospital and the community. Can you talk about that group and talk about the center and what's being accomplished?
So it's really amazing that the name DIOP, the Digital Innovation Obsessed People, has stuck because it was actually, I joke, it was the title we put on the meeting invite because we didn't know what to do with a group of people who really believed that we could transform healthcare from the inside, and we could really transform the organization in a variety of ways if we really embrace the digital technologies and what they were doing for various aspects of institutions. And when I say that, I really want to be careful because many people actually focus just on the direct to consumer, the scheduling, the billing, the getting the information out to the consumer. And it's really amazing that there are so many different aspects of an organization that we can transform. So for example, we're working our way through applicant tracking systems. We call that the Domino's pizza tracker of the applicants. You know, how do you know how you're going through the stage of the applicant and the interviewing process, both as the manager and as the applicant? Or robotic process automation, which is really focused on menial tasks in whether it's finance or back-end revenue cycle or other areas. So what we did is we said, we're not just going to focus on that front-end consumer and just the people coming in the door, that funnel to bring them in, but we're going to look at every aspect of our organization and see how each part of it can be transformed. And that's the neat part. Our committee really has 50% who are operators and 50% who are IT. And so it's that partnership between IT and the operators that really has been the strength and the oomph behind this Digital Innovation Obsessed People DIOP and what became the Center for Innovation. And I love really talking about that incredible partnership we have, which we are so blessed to have, and not every organization feels in the same way.
I would imagine that relationship that you're talking about between those two subgroups, those two groups, it's all based on communication though, right? Like everything else, ACHE is networking and communicating all the time, maybe over communicating. Is that a fair point?
Yeah, I think there's also this mystique. Well, I mean, IT can't handle it. And, you know, what the hell do those operators want to do? They haven't even designed it properly. And it's such a close set of friendships and respect for each other that we always try to make it work and have open dialogue between all of us. The other thing that's very unique about our organization, which is not kind of happening everywhere, is that the operators have all kept our jobs. So as you read my title, right, I have a 50-50 title. I'm 50% executive vice president over our hospital and 50% in the Center for Innovation. And each one, our HR lead in digital technologies, our global lead of digital technology, each one of them have a day job, you know, and another day job. And I always believe that there's some value to it because whatever I push and I innovate around, I have to accept and live with. And I will tell you, the live with is really hard. So sometimes when you have these IT people and these innovation people sitting on the outside, to get the operators to basically make the changes that you need to make, to alter the job descriptions and alter the jobs becomes really hard.
Well, you're pulling it off. So whether it's hard or not, there's no question. And I would imagine that it's helped that there at Houston Methodist, I know you've had a long-standing commitment to innovation and how all these groups and the staff and everyone can communicate and have those dialogues, right? I mean, so is that fair to say that the culture of innovation that you've created has helped kind of move you along to make a success out of the Center for Innovation?
Yeah, the innovation in our past and really where we've come from, these Dr. DeBakey and people who are constantly creating new cures and new treatments and new everything has always been there. I think the innovations in the business models and the technology to achieve those business models has been a little more in the kind of the present and the present era. But the fear of the fact that we will transform and will be okay on the other side, that's just ingrained in our culture. That is absolutely, it's okay, you can change. We'll be fine on the other side. Don't worry, we have the stamina and the fortitude to withstand a lot of changes in the way, whether it's we practice medicine or do anything else. And I remember there's one picture of Houston Methodist. We just celebrated our 100-year history and last year. And one of the pictures that got whipped out is the building of one of our hospital buildings in these plaza where the women could spend a week in the hospital and the baby can be right beside them and they can go into the courtyard with their baby for their 1 to 2 week stay. And, so think about all of those changes that have happened. And now we're witnessing this kind of revolution in the way digital technologies and virtual care and other areas are really changing our organizations. And it's kind of that embrace or die. You need to really realize that this is coming and consumers are demanding it and physicians are demanding it, and you need to be able to keep up.
Yeah, embrace change, keep up, no question about that. Hey, just a reminder, folks, today's episode is brought to you by Kindred. During these unprecedented times of social distancing and visitor restrictions, hospitals are always looking for innovative solutions to help patients stay connected with loved ones who can't visit face-to-face. Tools designed to help families connect virtually have proven to increase patient satisfaction and outcomes. To learn how Kindred can help your hospital leverage innovative solutions to increase patient and family engagement, streamline operations, and optimize rehab services during COVID-19 and beyond, visit kindredrehab.com. Okay, so Roberta, so far, you've talked a lot about innovation and the Center for Innovation at Houston Methodist. We've also talked about you guys were hit twice, with the pandemic, with influx to your hospital. No question about that. If you can combine those two topics when you're talking about dealing with patients and dealing with their families during this difficult time, how has that gone? How have you kept up, and how is it going presently?
So I think, the innovations that we had in place with partners that were pretty much already set with the technologies that we had identified were the ones that we turned to at the beginning of the COVID pandemic and really said, how can you help us to really work with our families, our caregivers? And so, yes, it was really amazing to overnight be able to really, and I mean quickly, train over 900 of our physicians to utilize all of our virtual platforms and be able to see our patients at home. So during the first surge, we saw 80% of our physician visits at home. In addition to that, we saw physical therapy. We got people home quicker so that we could kind of check in on them. So being able to kind of pivot on a dime happened because we already had all of the platforms that were available. Our virtual ICU, we literally, the week before the first patients hit Houston Methodist, we had finished wiring our main campus for all of our virtual ICU rooms. It was just beautiful. And now every one of our campuses is wired and done. So really that pivoting happened very quickly. We were able to turn our Care Pathways platform and actually make care pathways for our COVID patients. We were able to turn on and utilize TytoCare on people's phones as attachments to do some of the wider virtual visits that we needed. And I could go on and on and on down the list of all of the different technologies that got utilized. All of our rooms were outfitted with iPads and Alexa devices and everything that was needed to keep people comfortable. And as you keep advertising, which is really amazing and wonderful, a lot of family visits couldn't happen, and so you needed those family visits at Houston Methodist, at Kindred, at other places to be able to happen. And you had to have those technologies in place. And it really was amazing to be able to watch people embrace technologies that they may have been reticent to do, both on the consumer side and on the provider side, and now bring those into the mainstream. And I feel so blessed and lucky that we had the foundation in place, but I also feel amazed at how quickly we've moved from concept and beginning of adoption to like fully out there. And now like it's as if we always had virtual care being 30% of our visits. I mean, and what do you mean? Of course we screened the patients before they came into the door to see whether or not they were sick. Of course we do these things. And I wanted to say to people, February actually wasn't that long ago, and we're still in 2020, and the adoption rate's been phenomenal.
Well, you sort of answered what I was going to ask next, because ACHE, one of the values is always lifelong learning. And so for you guys at the hospital and the Center for Innovation, you just sort of explained it that, because of the pandemic, you have learned all these lessons moving forward that'll probably still be implemented in post-pandemic. And I guess that's those silver linings that we always look for during this time. Is that correct? Is that how you guys look at it?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, please.
So I am always a glass half full person. Like, in fact, I'm a glass 3/4 full. It's always, there is not just a silver lining, there is a look at the opportunity. And I think that there's a great cartoon I saw that I loved. It had a picture of a CIO, a CEO, and COVID. And the question was, which one is responsible for the changes in healthcare, and healthcare technologies? And, everyone points to the COVID, and that's really because the concepts were there, but the full adoption was going like inch by inch by inch by inch. And the difference that we've had is that it was like, a steam engine came through, where we had a very slow train before, and here we go. Oh my God, now we're going to barrel down, the tracks. And that's really what happened. So when I look at this pandemic, we will be forever changed by all of the technologies that got quickly adopted into our culture. And now what you're seeing is, oh my God, what's next? Like what goes on top next of the technologies? And one of the things we've got to be careful of is that it's really easy to have inertia set in and say, okay, well, we got to 30%, of our visits. Is 30% the right number? Can we drive that up with additional technology in the home? Are there more things that we can do to surround these technologies and these people and arm them to do more of the care, at their bedside in their home than it is bringing them into a facility? And again, that's a little scary for hospitals, who are based on filling up, but it changes a lot of the dynamics. And what we can't be afraid to do is continue to change and evolve, because that's natural. So I hope that we, looking out into the future, which I do find to be hopefully very, there will be life after COVID, just as there was life after various plagues or Spanish influenzas or polio, we do move on, however long that takes us. And I think a lot of these technologies will continue to expand and explode.
And I know you sort of touched on it, but as a leader yourself, what sort of skills are you going to take from this? Embrace change, move on. You've mentioned a lot. Anything specific that maybe you yourself, because boy, we read your bio and you are a leader. You've done so much and well decorated and well recognized. But now this hits. Are you going to take something that you never knew you had as a leader moving forward?
I think that when I look at the things I'm proud of, I am most proud of the fact that people have done whatever it took to get the job done and take care of the patients. And for me, I think as a leader, I'm continually reminded that it's all about the people at the front lines and making sure they have all the tools that is necessary, and continuing to reinforce to them that it will be okay. It is okay. We will keep going. And that is in the midst of change and uncertainty. So as a leader, I'm continually reminded that no matter what chaos is swirling around, you as a leader, it is imperative that you care about your people and their feelings and their concerns, because especially change is hard and it is difficult and no one likes to do it. And no one is in the same place on adopting and embracing that change. And your job as a leader is to keep people moving even when they don't want to. And that's, I think, the lesson I am continually confronted with, and have to remind myself that it's okay, when people are not jumping up and down with the same excitement that I am. And as I said, I'm always excited about what is coming and what we're facing. And I know that we can do anything, but not everyone's in that same place. And so you need to hone and continue to hone your skills with people management and with change management. And then also remember that you have to create the time for your strategic brain to work, because your world is not going to stop and your world continues to move, and you need to be there with it. So there's a piece of your brain that always has to have the strategy on, and thinking about where you're going in the future while managing the present. So I'm those are kind of things that I'm reminded about every single day.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's a balancing act, no question. More now than ever before, I would imagine. So Roberta, let's talk now about ACHE and you, because you're a member, you're a fellow. Can you talk about how your journey with ACHE has helped you in your career?
So I think ACHE serves a very important purpose for all of us as healthcare executives and as individuals who aspire to be better themselves in the seats that they're in, or change seats and move up and become different levels of executives in the world of healthcare. I think we learn together. We learn at various functions and webinars and podcasts and in person and virtually. In addition to that, we mentor and we teach. I think it's our responsibility to continue to mentor and teach those people who will come after us, because there will be people who will come after us. And it's very important. I enjoyed the other night teaching one of the Board of Governors review classes and continuing to stay involved. But the other thing is that we recognize that healthcare administration is a field, and it is a very important field that serves an important purpose. It's not that anybody can step in and run departments or run a hospital exceedingly well, and training the next generation to be able to make sure that they can step into the same seat that we sit in today, and that these institutions that will forever be important in the fabric of our world are treated with the degree of respect and reverence that we have today, and that we continue on as strong leaders in the future to steward our role in these organizations.
Well, Roberta, thank you so much for that answer. Thank you for all the insight you've given over the past half hour or so, all the information. This episode title was COVID-19 and a Culture of Innovation. We can't think of anybody that would be a better guest than you on this topic. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here today.
It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You got it. And thanks to our listeners for joining us today. Remember, this episode of the Healthcare Executive Podcast was brought to you by Kindred. During these unprecedented times and social distancing and visitor restrictions, hospitals are always looking for innovative solutions to help patients stay connected with loved ones who can't visit face-to-face. Tools designed to help families connect virtually have proven to increase patient satisfaction and outcomes. To learn how Kindred can help your hospital leverage innovative solutions and increase patient and family engagement, streamline operations, and optimize rehab services during COVID-19 and beyond, visit kindredrehab.com. Once again, thank you, Roberta. We appreciate your time. And folks, we'll see you next time on the Healthcare Executive Podcast.
This has been the Healthcare Executive Podcast, brought to you by the American College of Healthcare Executives. If you've enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing on iTunes or your podcasting app of choice. And for more information, find us online at ache.org.